The FIFA World Cup 2026 has begun. 48 teams, 3 host nations, 104 matches, and 1 trophy, waiting in New York on July 19th. The biggest World Cup in history, a tournament so large it had to be split across 3 countries, America, Canada, Mexico, a format so open that no team enters with better than a 16% chance of winning it all. We've analyzed the bookmakers. We've studied the squads, the injuries, the form. We've listened to every analyst, every simulation, every prediction model. 5 teams stand above the rest. 5 nations with a genuine, realistic chance of lifting that trophy at MetLife Stadium. The number 5, Argentina. Let's start with the defending champions. In Qatar in 2022, Argentina produced one of the greatest World Cup campaigns ever seen. The final against France, 3-3 after extra time, won on penalties, is already considered one of the greatest matches in the history of the sport. And at the center of it all was Lionel Messi, 35 years old. After 4 failed attempts, finally a World Cup winner. Now it is 2026, and Messi is 38. He arrives at this tournament carrying a hamstring concern. He left Inter Miami's final match in May, grabbing his left thigh, and Argentina held their breath for 2 weeks. He returned in their warm-up against Iceland, came on as a substitute, and immediately converted a penalty. Classic Messi. Even at 38, even injured, even on 20 minutes, he still does that. But the questions are real. 6 weeks is a long time. The body that once carried an entire nation for a month straight is older, slower, and more fragile than it was in Qatar. And yet, look at what Argentina have around him now. Julian Alvarez, 24 years old, is at the peak of his powers, one of the best center forwards in Europe, a player who can win a World Cup final on his own if he needs to. Enzo Fernandez and Alexis Mac Allister in midfield, technically gifted, Champions League tested, both in their prime. Rodri de Paul brings the energy and aggression. Lisandro Martinez alongside Christian Romero, when both are fit, gives Argentina a defensive spine that wasn't always there in Qatar. And Lionel Scaloni, the coach who has won 2 Copa Americas and a World Cup, the man who knows exactly how to protect Messi's minutes, shield him from pressure, and deliver him sharp into the knockout rounds. As one analyst put it, Argentina won't arrive as favorites, but never count out a team with Messi when the knockout rounds begin. No country has won back-to-back World Cups since Brazil in 1958 and 1962. History is against them, but history also said Messi would never win a World Cup. And then he did. Argentina are 5th. They would not be surprised if they ended up first. Number 4, England. 50 years. That's how long England have waited for a World Cup. Wembley. Jeff Hurst's hat trick. They think it's all over. It is now. 60 years of hurt, of nearly moments, of quarterfinal exits, of penalty shootout nightmares. And this England squad might be the most talented group the 3 Lions have ever sent to a tournament. Thomas Tuchel is in charge, a manager who has won the Champions League with Chelsea, who reaches finals wherever he manages, who is tactically precise and emotionally intelligent in the biggest moments. England have never had a manager quite like him. And the squad he's built around? Jude Bellingham. At 22 years old, the Real Madrid midfielder is already considered one of the 5 best players in the world. His ability to arrive late into the box, to score in knockout matches, to carry a team on his back when everything is on the line. It is different from anything England have had in decades. Harry Kane, 32 years old, is the captain, the all-time England top scorer, a striker with 90-plus international goals who has never won a major trophy at club or country. The hunger inside that man is unimaginable. This is his last real chance. Bukayo Saka provides creativity and work rate on the right. Phil Foden, when he finds his best form, is one of the most technically gifted players at this entire tournament. Declan Rice controls midfield with a discipline and intelligence that makes England hard to break down. Defensively, Mark Guehi is composed, Kyle Walker is experienced, and Jordan Pickford in goal, whatever his critics say, has never let England down in a major tournament penalty shootout. The concern? England have been here before. The talent has never been the issue. The expectations, the weight of history, the way an entire nation holds its breath and makes players freeze. That psychological burden is real, and Tuchel will have to manage it carefully. But something feels different in 2026. A manager the players genuinely respect. A squad with no obvious weak link. A core that has already experienced a World Cup semifinal and a Euros final. The bookmakers have England at third. The neutrals aren't quite convinced, but the talent on that team suggests that if everything clicks, England don't just belong in this conversation. They could win it. Number 3. Brazil. 5 World Cups, more than any other nation, and yet they haven't won one since 2002. 24 years of hurt for a country that treats football not as a sport, but as a national identity. The yellow shirt, the samba, the feeling that football belongs to them, and yet the trophy keeps escaping. This time, something is genuinely different. Carlo Ancelotti, the most decorated club manager in the history of European football, 5 Champions League titles, now in charge of Brazil. And immediately, this team started to look more organized, more defensively structured, more like a unit rather than a collection of brilliant individuals who never quite connected. The attack still makes your eyes light up. Vinicius Jr., on his best days, arguably the most dangerous attacker in world football. Explosive pace, terrifying skill. The wide open spaces of American stadiums were made for him. If Vinicius finds his best form across 6 weeks in North America, Brazil become extremely difficult to stop. Rafinha on the opposite flank. 12 goals for Barcelona last season. Consistent, creative, improving every year. And then there's Neymar. He hasn't played consistent competitive football since 2023. He signed for Santos, fought his way back to fitness, and convinced Ancelotti to take him to this tournament, getting his spot after Estevão's hamstring injury ruled out Brazil's young superstar. If Neymar is at even 70% of his ability, he changes this team significantly. If he isn't, Brazil play without their most naturally gifted creator and suddenly look less certain in moments that require individual brilliance. Alisson Becker in goal. Still at 33, one of the finest goalkeepers on the planet. Casemiro and Bruno Guimaraes doing the defensive midfield work that allows everything else to function. In 1994, the last time this World Cup was held in the United States, Brazil won it. History, Ancelotti, Vinicius, a nation desperate to end its 24-year wait. Brazil haven't come to participate. They've come to put a 6th star above that badge. Number 2, Spain. If you ask any football analyst right now which team plays the best football in the world, most of them will say Spain. And the numbers back it up. Spain won Euro 2024 without conceding more than 1 goal in any match on their route to the final. They beat Croatia, Italy, Germany, and France, 4 of the best teams in Europe, to lift the trophy. They did it playing football that made opponents look confused, disorganized, and helpless. In qualification for 2026, 10 wins from 10, 36 goals, 4 conceded, the best record in Europe, and the man who has become the center of everything, Lamine Yamal. He was 16 when Spain won the Euros. He scored that goal in the semi-final against France, 91st minute, outside of the boot, top corner, a goal that an 18-year-old had no right to score. By the time the World Cup final is played in New York, he will have just turned 19. And right now, coaches and analysts across the world are beginning to describe him as potentially the best player on the planet. Nico Williams on the left, lightning quick, direct, impossible to catch when he runs at defenders. Together, Yamal and Williams form the most exciting wide partnership at this tournament. And then there's Rodri, the Manchester City midfielder who won the Ballon d'Or in 2024. The player who controls games not through spectacular moments, but through complete positional perfection. When Rodri plays, Spain rarely lose. It is almost that simple. Pedri and Fabian Ruiz alongside him. David Raya in goal, outstanding for Arsenal. Carvajal at right back when fit. A defensive structure that kept 4 clean sheets across 6 knockout matches at the Euros. The one question, the striker position. Spain play without a traditional number 9. Their false nine system creates confusion for opponents, but in a knockout tournament on a difficult night, the lack of a pure finisher can be a vulnerability. Spain haven't cared about vulnerabilities for 2 years. They've just kept winning. And here's the thing that should genuinely frighten every other team at this World Cup. Yamal is 18. Williams is 22. Pedri is 22. This Spain squad has a decade of dominance ahead of them. This tournament might just be the beginning. For now, they are the benchmark, the team everyone is trying to stop. The Opta supercomputer gives Spain the highest probability of any team to win this tournament, 16.1% across 25,000 simulations. Spain are second on this list. They would very much like to be first. Number 1, France. And when you look at their squad from top to bottom, it is genuinely difficult to argue. France have won the World Cup twice. In 1998, on home soil, Zidane, Desailly, Henry, a generation that made France believe in football again. And in 2018 in Russia, Mbappé, Griezmann, Pogba, a squad so deep they could afford not to play their best football and still lift the trophy. In Qatar 2022, France went all the way to the final, were 3-2 up in extra time. Mbappé scored a hat-trick in a losing cause. France went home without the trophy, but with the knowledge that on their best day, they were the second-best team at that tournament. Now it is 2026, and France, according to bookmakers and analysts alike, are the most complete team in the world. Kylian Mbappé, 27 years old, Real Madrid's number 9, the top scorer in Real Madrid's history, the man who scored a hat-trick in a World Cup final at 23, the most complete forward in world football, both feet, pace, finishing in tight areas, ability to create something from nothing under maximum pressure. This is his tournament. He has a Champions League. He has a World Cup from 2018. Now he wants to be the player who finally ended France's wait for back-to-back World Cup titles. The hunger that drives him, it is visible every time he plays. But it's France's depth that makes them truly terrifying. Ousmane Dembélé, perhaps the most underrated attacker at this tournament. 14 goals, 17 assists for PSG last season. Direct explosive, with a work rate that was once considered his weakness and is now his greatest strength. Michael Olise, Bayern Munich's winger, the wild card. The player whose best football at a major tournament makes France genuinely unstoppable. Aurélien Tchouameni providing the defensive midfield base. Eduardo Camavinga alongside him, 23 years old, already a multiple Champions League winner. Defensively, Jules Koundé at right back, William Saliba alongside Dayot Upamecano at center back. On their best day, one of the top defensive partnerships at this tournament. And Mike Maignan in goal, 2 consecutive seasons as one of the finest goalkeepers in European football. Didier Deschamps has managed France since 2012, won the World Cup as a player in 1998, won it as a manager in 2018. He has never chased beautiful football. He chases trophies, and his record at major tournaments suggests he understands exactly what he is doing. The criticism that follows France, that Deschamps is too conservative, that he doesn't allow his squad to fully express themselves, that everything becomes too dependent on Mbappé in the moments that matter most. These concerns are valid. France underperformed at Euros 2020 and 2024 relative to what their squad suggested they should achieve. But here's the thing about France. They don't need to be the most exciting team at this tournament. They don't need to win every match 3-0. They just need to be standing at the end. In 2018, they did exactly that. Bookmakers, analysts, football professionals across the world have looked at every squad in this tournament. They've considered the form, the depth, the history, the coaching, the key players, and they keep coming back to France. Number 1 plus 470, the favorites. Now all they have to do is prove it.